Today, I want to very quickly talk about the CS programs that are offered at the University of Alberta. I had a couple questions that some people asked in the comments and elsewhere that I think I can provide some input on. The questions that I want to address are, what is the difference between the BSc General, BSc with Specialization, and the BSc Honors Computing Science programs, along with, can you transfer into CS after first year of university in some other program? I decided to make this video right now because a lot of people are applying to universities and deciding on what university offers to take. So I feel like this is as good of a time as any to release a video like this. So without beating around the bush, there are a few things that you need to understand about the answer for the first question. The differences between the three main programs are rather subtle but still important. I will begin by discussing the obvious differences between the programs and then explain the serious differences that you are not actually told about upfront. First things first, the BSc General in Computing Science program is actually just a simple science degree where you have to follow the general degree planner meant for all science students. So you need to take at least 6 courses over the fall-winter academic session to qualify as a full-time student. And you must maintain at least a 2.0 GPA to remain in the program. However, you do need to keep a 2.3 GPA average across all your CS courses. I will link the relevant page from the university calendar in the description for this degree and all other programs too, so please familiarize yourself with it as it is the main source of information for your degree requirements. There is one thing to consider about this program. You have to take 2 physical science courses and 2 laboratory science courses by the time that you graduate if you want to graduate with a BSc General degree. All other requirements are in the General Science Degree Planning document that you can see here, and I am linking in the description as well. Next program to consider is the BSc with Specialization in Computing Science. This program also requires you to take at least 6 courses in a year to remain in the program, but now you need a 2.3 GPA to remain in the program every fall and winter academic session, and the same goes for all your CS courses too. The main difference that is obvious when comparing to the BSc General program is that you have very different course requirements. First, you do not need to take physical sciences or laboratory sciences, which is nice. Second, you have a requirement to take a certain number of 400 level courses. Here's what the planner looks like. As you can see, there are a lot of courses that they want you to complete, many more specific course requirements than the regular general science program. I will provide the link to the planner in the description along with the university calendar page about this program. Next, I need to discuss the BSc with Specialization in Computing Science with a minor in Business program. This program is effectively the same as the regular specialization program, but you have to take some specific business courses, meaning that you get fewer general electives. Here is what the planner looks like. As you can see, there are even more courses, so you get way less freedom in deciding which courses you will take. Again, both the planner and the university calendar pages will be linked in the description. The last specialization program that needs discussion is the BSc with Specialization in Computing Science with a software practice option. This program also requires you to take some business courses, but you get to sort of choose which ones you want to take. Additionally, the program requires you to participate in the Science Internship Practicum. I stated my opinions on the Science Internship Practicum in a previous video where I reviewed UAlberta's CS program in general, so I will refer you to that if you want to know more. Here is what the planner looks like. Again, you get fewer options than regular specialization, but more than when doing the business minor. Links again are in the description. Lastly, we need to talk about the BSc Honors in Computing Science program. This one is very different from the other 2 programs. First, it is similar to specialization in that you do not need to take physical or lab science courses. Second, you have to take at least 8 courses in a year to remain in the program. Third, you must maintain an average GPA of a 3.0 in general and a 3.0 across all the CS courses you take in the year. Fourth, as an honors student, you're expected to take the honors introduction courses, Compute 274 and 275 in your first year. However, if there are not enough seats and you are too late to register in the courses, then you will do the regular intro courses instead. Another thing, every semester, unless you have a course conflict, you must take Compute 495, a 0-credit pass-fail honor seminar. The content of the seminar differs every semester, but generally it's profs talking about their research and trying to recruit some honors students to do their research with them. The planner looks like this. It may surprise you, but honors students are given a lot of freedom in choosing what courses they take, for better or for worse. However, you're expected to take more 300 and 400 level CS courses than both the general science and specialization students. Planner and university calendar are linked in the description. And that's roughly it for the things that you are explicitly told about when looking at these programs. However, there are some things that aren't mentioned, but are important to know when making the decision as to which program you want to apply for. First, as a specialization and honors CS student, you get to have access to both the Faculty of Science advising and the Department of Computing Science advising. This means that you get more admin support and advisors that actually fully understand your program. General science students do not get access to the Department of Computing Science advising. Second, the university staggers the enrollment dates by program and year in an unsuccessful attempt to make the registration website not crash under the load of all the students trying to get into their classes at once. Every single enrollment season, BearTracks gets basically DDoSed by over-eager students. Anyways, this works like so. First day of registration, third-year specialization and honors students get to register in all their classes. 2 days later, third-year general science and second-year specialization and honors students get to register in all their classes. This pattern repeats every 2 days until all students are allowed to enroll in their desired classes. For reference, the year you're in is dictated by the number of credits completed, not by the number of years you spent at the university. So, what is the implication of this? Well, if you're a second-year general science student, good luck getting into the really popular courses like Compute 350 or sometimes even Compute 301, as all the upper year general science students and the spec and honors students take all the spots. Third, and this one is a personal opinion more than anything, the software practice specialization program is not that great. Some courses are offered only in winter or only in fall, which means that if you fail them, withdraw from them, or simply do not get a spot in them, it can delay your graduation by an entire year. Also, I am not a big fan of the SIP program, but your mileage may vary. Therefore, if you are really interested in CS, then I would suggest trying to get into either honors or specialization programs. However, how do you choose which one to actually apply for? This depends on a couple factors. First, if you're transferring after the first year, then most of the time going for specialization is better overall. You get all the registration timing benefits, the departmental advising, and basically the same opportunities for research, and you don't have to take the kind of pointless honors seminar. However, if you are very keen on going to grad school, then honors might be marginally better, as for some reason, some grad schools sort of care about the program you took, and some professors do prefer honors students for undergrad research assistant positions. But if you're just thinking of going into industry, I wouldn't really bother. Second, if you're applying for first year, then you need to carefully consider this. The Compute 274-275 honors introduction sequence is not trivial, unlike the Compute 174-175 regular introduction sequence. So, if you are dead set on CS or have some experience with CS beforehand and want to brave the honors intro sequence, then go for the honors program. The intro courses, in my opinion, set you up way better for success in future courses, especially now that they do not count for Compute 204 credit. I am saying this as someone that was one of the teaching assistants for the honors introduction courses for 2.5 academic years and someone that is working in industry now. Those courses are surprisingly useful. However, the honors introduction courses are not trivial and take a lot of work and effort. There are 6 hours of lecture a week, weekly in-class competitive programming style quizzes, weekly assignments, a term project, and 2 major assignments. Therefore, try to weigh your options and maybe talk to some people on the UAlberta CS Discord, which I am linking in the description, to see if you want to brave the honors introduction. Otherwise, go for the specialization program. Lastly, if you're just tangentially interested in CS or want to try many sciences first and decide on your program later, then apply for the general science program. It is still quite decent. Just do consider transferring to either specialization or honors programs later on, especially if you're seriously struggling to register in the courses you want to take. Alright, that took a really damn long time for what I intended to get across. So, in the end, let me quickly answer the other question. Can you transfer into CS after first year? The answer is absolutely. If you want to go into CS but can't really make it into science due to not having the best grades in high school, then you can apply for some other programs and do your first year courses from it. You can take Compute 174 and 175 in your first year from almost any faculty, a notable exception being the Faculty of Engineering. And if you take the math requirements too, then you can transfer either to the general science or specialization programs and still graduate on time. However, the CS program is decently competitive, so you may need to have a decent GPA to get in. I don't know what that GPA would be, as I don't know many people that did that switch, but expect to need a 3.0 or even higher to get into specialization, and maybe even 2.7 and above for the general science program. So that's everything I wanted to talk about today. I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the CS program review I have made a video about before, as that is the logical next video to watch after this one. Thank you for your time. Bye.